Have you ever wondered what happened if an ancient human suddenly started hearing voices? Not a god, not a spirit, not a dream, a voice. One that nobody else could hear. Today, we'd call it a symptom. Maybe schizophrenia, maybe psychosis, maybe severe mental illness. But ancient humans had no words for any of that. No psychology, no psychiatry, no medicine, just fear. And for most of human history, strange behavior wasn't seen as a medical problem. It was seen as something far more terrifying, something supernatural. Imagine you're sitting around a campfire 30,000 years ago. The tribe is quiet. The hunt is over. The darkness beyond the fire is alive with sounds, and suddenly one member of the group begins speaking to something that isn't there. Their eyes move strangely. They start laughing at nothing. Maybe they claim the dead are talking to them. Maybe they scream at the sky. Maybe they become convinced that invisible beings are watching everyone. You have never seen this before. You don't know what a hallucination is. You don't know what a disorder is. You don't even know what a brain is. So, what explanation would make sense? Spirits. For ancient humans, that answer was often the only answer. Across nearly every early civilization, unusual behavior was linked to supernatural forces. And honestly, can you blame them? If someone suddenly starts speaking to invisible people, hearing voices, or acting completely different overnight, it does look supernatural, especially if you've never been taught otherwise. But here's where things become strange. Not every ancient culture feared these people. Some respected them. In many prehistoric and tribal societies, people who experienced visions, voices, or unusual mental states sometimes became shamans, the spiritual leaders of the group, the people believed to communicate with hidden worlds, the people who could speak to ancestors, the people who could heal the sick, the people who understood dreams. Think about how terrifying and confusing that must have been. The exact same person could be treated as either a prophet or a danger, a healer or a curse, depending entirely on how the tribe interpreted their behavior. And that decision could mean life or death, because not all ancient humans responded with acceptance. Many responded with fear. When strange behavior threatened the safety of a group, people often believed evil spirits had entered the body. And if a spirit entered the body, then it had to be removed. This led to one of the oldest medical procedures in human history, a practice so disturbing that archaeologists still find evidence of it today. Trepanation. Ancient humans would drill, scrape, or cut holes into the skull, thousands of years before modern surgery existed. Imagine being the person lying on the ground, no anesthesia, no modern tools, just stone instruments, and a tribe desperately trying to save you from something they couldn't understand. What's even more shocking, many people survived. Scientists have found skulls showing signs of healing around the holes, meaning some ancient humans lived for years afterward. The procedure must have seemed successful sometimes, and that's the dangerous thing about mental illness. Random recovery can look like proof. If someone improves after a ritual, the ritual becomes truth. And for thousands of years, that truth shaped human history. But there was another side to this story. Isolation. Because some people weren't treated as shamans, or healers, or chosen by spirits. They were treated as threats. Imagine living in a small tribe of only 40 people. Every person matters. Every hunter matters. Every gatherer matters. Every mistake matters. Now imagine one person suddenly becomes unpredictable. Maybe they stop sleeping. Maybe they become aggressive. Maybe they wander away from camp. Maybe they begin screaming in the middle of the night. In a modern city, people can disappear into the crowd. Ancient humans couldn't. Every behavior was visible. Every problem affected everyone, and survival always came first. In some cases, people showing severe symptoms may have been abandoned, restrained, isolated, or feared because their behavior endangered the group. That reality is uncomfortable, but ancient life was uncomfortable. Compassion existed. Fear existed too. And often both existed at the same time. A tribe might genuinely love someone and still be terrified of them. Because mental illness doesn't just affect the individual, it affects everyone around them. especially in a world where survival is fragile. But here's the part most people never think about. Ancient humans may have understood something modern society often forgets. People suffering mentally weren't always seen as broken. Sometimes they were seen as connected. Connected to dreams, connected to ancestors, connected to hidden realities, connected to something beyond ordinary life. Many cultures believed unusual mental experiences carried spiritual meaning rather than being purely pathological, and while modern science rejects supernatural explanations, the emotional question remains: why do some minds see things others don't? Why do some people hear voices? Why does consciousness sometimes fracture? Even now, after centuries of neuroscience, many mysteries remain unsolved. We understand more than our ancestors did, but not as much as we'd like to believe, because mental illness is one of the few things that attacks the very tool we use to understand reality. The mind studies the mind. And sometimes the mind breaks while trying. Ancient humans stood around fires asking questions they couldn't answer. Why is he acting differently? Why does she talk to things we can't see? Why does his mind seem somewhere else? And in many ways, we're still asking those same questions. The words have changed. The hospitals have changed. The treatments have changed. But the mystery hasn't disappeared. Somewhere tonight, someone will hear a voice nobody else can hear. Someone will feel disconnected from reality. Someone will struggle silently inside their own mind. And despite everything we've learned, we still don't fully understand why. Thousands of years ago, ancient humans looked at mental illness and saw spirits. Today we look at brain scans and see patterns, but beneath both explanations lies the same uncomfortable truth. Human consciousness remains one of the greatest mysteries our species has ever faced.